Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Summary Day 1 session. Alternative Finance Edge, Money, Innovation, Sustainability. Summary of the breakout sessions on financial services innovations. How do people interact with money and innovation? And how does this affect the design of financial solutions? Reflections of a Raporteur. How do innovation and sustainability change the financial services industry? Moderated by Yannis Rizopoulos, Editorial Advisor, Web World News. With the participation of Maria Staszkiewicz, President, European Digital Finance Association, Tonia Damvakeraki, Managing Director, EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum, Olena Gryniuk, CEE Regional Director, SME Banking Club, Oliver Gajda, Founding Executive Director, European Crowdfunding Network.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, Piotr, Neoklis, over there, Agni, for inviting me here at AFF with the motto, Money, Innovation and Sustainability. So let's check these three words. Money, we have heard that, and we know it, we say it every day, that the way we know it is disappearing little by little. The other two words is innovation and sustainability. And my first question to all of you is how do innovation and sustainability, these two words, these two very, very big moves of this day, change the financial services industry? Let's start from you, Oliver.
I did not know that you had questions.
I have two or three general questions, yeah. Yeah, it's the first one.
So you want to know how innovation and sustainability would change financial services?
Yes, please.
Yes, I think innovation we see is happening. It's driven because of crisis over the last 20 years, failure in the market. And sustainability, I think that other than the urgency that we see in our environment, businesses over the last probably 10, 15 years started to look at business models that are more sustainable, at least in some European markets. I think as well the idea of the successful startup starting the next one, selling this multiple entrepreneur, this serial entrepreneur idea is not necessarily as ingrained as it is in some Anglo-Saxon markets. And I think it has been taken up. I think that's these two major changes that will, over time, bring us there.
Yeah,
it's an iteration. It goes slowly.
Yes, it's the contribution of financial world to the Earth's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's not driven in the boards. It's driven.
Not driven. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Tonia.
Thank you. On the basis of what we discussed today, I think that through innovation and through sustainable approaches, we can find the way to tackle various gaps and limitations that we have been using in the traditional financial systems.
Yes.
So, as discussed during the whole, day-to-day, and taking stock of what my panel discussed, I would like to say that through this innovation and sustainable approaches, we aim to address issues of accessibility, issues of equality, issues of transparency, issues of trust, making sure that people have the right to access, democratizing finance, and making sure that nobody's left behind. Okay. So it's a matter of educating the people. It's a matter of bringing in the right regulation, regulating what needs to be regulated.
Yeah.
Not regulating for the sake of regulation, like what we said in the morning, we're not innovating for the sake of innovation. So
it's the balanced regulation.
Yeah, we just need to have balance.
Please. Okay.
Yeah, I would probably, maybe let's define what is the innovation here, what do we call the innovation, because the digitalization, what we discussed during the panel, is the tool. So yes, we have digital tools to implement or improve some processes. So the innovations is actually these new processes or technologies that were implemented and that brought the profit to the organization, right? To both sides, right? To the financial organization and to the customers that were financed. So so we should not probably digitalize just to do the digital things, but we should do this to do the, to make the innovation happen. And about the sustainability, in addition, that was actually said, yes, the responsibility, we haven't actually discussed the topic of ESG, which is becoming very, very important right now, and green finance. So, I mean, in addition to this compliance side of this story, we all know that now the corporations will be obliged to do the certification, and then from, I think, 2026, the SMEs should do this certificates and report. But if we took this business side, and this is a huge potential for green finance, for taking this also into the risk management considerations, to motivate, and there is a huge potential for business cases here as well. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, and I'll probably just add that we're going to see a lot of new products and services.
Yes.
Based on, for example, green and ESG
the marriage
substance,
between those two,
which will also mean that we'll have probably more people will have access to financial services in general. But we'll also see much more, not maybe much more, but completely different types of threats that we'll have to get used to. So we'll have to change the way we teach about and teach about the security on the internet. I also wanted to mention that with the open finance coming, which is the European Commission is going to present the idea of the open finance at the end of June. So based on that, we're gonna hopefully have more types of products that will turn the data of the financial behavior of the customer into new products. Hopefully this will gonna be the reality, unlike with PSD2. We're gonna also have the proposal on digital euro, which among others is supposed to give the possibility of alternative to cash. Okay. So I mean, there's plenty in store coming in the future.
If I may add here,
yes,
just
please.
also that to the topic of open finance, there is an important also question. We do hope that this will bring us this interoperability in the global sense, yes. Right? Because of all this topic of finance, PSD2 invoicing that is coming that we're discussing, but still, if we talk about it works better for the local levels, or the first stage that it will work better on the local levels. But if we say, and we talk about the cross-border finance, or for example, invoice finance with the foreign counterparties, it is still, it is still not here. So only this global interoperability can really bring this open finance in a wider sense.
Little by little.
Well, I fear that for that we would need a global government, which is never going to happen.
So let's proceed to the main dish, Oliver. Let's talk about your sessions. What are the main points that we have to keep after all these discussions here today?
Yes, I think I will make 3 short points. First, we've seen in the past at least decade that the digital identification, authentication, and onboarding became very short, very convenient.
And taxes. It's not only identification, it's IDA and taxes control.
Yes.
We have, yeah.
So technology allowed us to shorten the process. Second thing, it's still very cumbersome because of the regulation. And the third thing, hopefully, some shortbacks, some downfalls will be bypassed or will be gotten away with by the introduction of the EU identity wallet, which will allow European citizens to store their identification data in a safe place, and then to either pay with that, if banks won't interfere with that, to sign documents and to use their identity in a way that is much easier than we do today.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that this will revolutionize our way of our daily life in a way?
Well, I'm rather skeptical to say that any EU regulation will revolutionize this, but this will definitely be a step into the right direction. Yeah. Maybe not the revolution we hope for, that it's going to be very quick, but a step into the right direction to get at least those member states who are lagging behind to have in place at least one interoperable solution, so that people like myself living across various countries can finally have one app in my mobile phone and can use my Polish identity to a Belgian authority, which is very difficult thing right now.
Olena.
So during our panel, we discussed the new approaches to access to leverage and accelerate access to SME finance, which are actually two main things. These are the digital tools and data. So if we talk about digital tools, yes, we can state that digitalization and automation of the different types of finances, lending, factoring, invoice, in general, receivable finance, the digitalization and automation is the only way to offer these products for micros and small business customers. Because, as we all know, the manual or semi-manual processes which is applied or existing for the corporate or bigger companies is not applicable for SMEs, because of course the revenues are less, and that's why this is the reason why SMEs are not covered with these products up till now, massively. So yes, only the digital products, the digital processes, automated decisions for these small tickets are the way to cover and enable access to that kind of finance for SMEs. We do see such examples in the Central Europe. We have fintechs in invoice finance. We do see some banking also organizations digitalizing these journeys for SMEs. This is first or second, this is also about embedded event-based contextual finance, so in the context of the customer business, in the context of the customer situation, the sell and the offer of this product in the very right moment. So as we give an example, in the moment when the customer issues the invoice, not calling 9 in the morning and asking, do you need a factoring? No. 9 in the morning, I'm being an SME, I don't need a factoring. I need a coffee, I need to think on my business purposes, but I'm not thinking about banking products or financial products at all. I might need it when I issue the invoice, and the next steps, what we haven't discussed, but we should in the next panel discussion, is the predictive offering and predictive analytics in terms of the prediction of customer behavior, prediction of the SME's cash flow, which they will never forecast by themselves due to two reasons: time restrictions and the skills. And then if I will receive a push notification that, hey, tomorrow you should pay taxes or salary to your employees, but you don't have enough balance on your current account, so please click here to get it financed. This is the way the SME finance should work. And the third thing, we discussed the data. So the more and more data is becoming available, and including the e-invoicing data, which is becoming mandatory and in structured format, will be available for all players on the financial market. And I would say that actually the ones who would take this advantage will gain the market, because when you have the invoice data, when you have transaction data, and you can have it, either you have a customer in the bank, or you can use open banking with the PSD2 requirements. You have financial data of the customer, also either via access to the governmental statistics or data sources, or you have ecosystem for your SME customers with invoicing, online accounting, and everything. And then combining all this data, you have all the data needed to analyze, predict the needs, predict the behavior of this customer, to offer very tailored and very personalized offer, and minimize the risks, of course.
Yeah. What was the role of the pandemic to all of that? Because there was a hint on that.
It's of course speed up the digitization of all the services for all the customers, included SMEs. Second, it limited access to SME loans because it was the next crisis when banks limited and restricted their credit policies and SMEs suffered the most, as usually. And third, it gave a push to alternative finance. It gave a push to invoice finance, to the factoring, which we see is growing very, very fast during the actually pandemic and after pandemic times. So these are like the three main impacts.
Changed many things in Greece too. Tonia.
Okay, yes, as the main points coming from the discussion that we had on open and decentralized finance, I think some of them I highlighted before, how DeFi can democratize and expand the access to finance for many people that are not entitled to do that through traditional finance. I think that the use cases discussed by the panelists were very interesting, especially looking across the world, not only Europe, because as explained by one of the panelists, when you live in Europe or when you live in the US, there's no way of understanding how some populations are deprived of very basic assets, like accessing their own funds in a bank, or having a bank account, or being entitled to take their money out of the bank. So they are looking for decentralized solutions that can actually help them get this kind of access secured.
Yes, sure.
Another point that I think is very important is the fact that through DeFi you can reach out to populations by mainly educating them on the technology behind it and the benefits that they are going to get. It sounds like a utopian scenario to get on a one-to-one basis and explain to every micro farmer on the benefits that they can get.
Or SME or whatever.
Or a micro enterprise, or anyone in a small scale to understand this kind of benefits. But still, it's an effort that we see organizations undertaking, like the example that was referred to by IOTA in India, the other example that was referred to by our colleagues from Ethic Hub in Latin America, in several countries in Latin America. And I think that these are very crucial things to keep in mind when we are discussing about decentralized and open finance, because sometimes we lock ourselves in the environment that we are, in the bubble that we are living in, and we don't get what the actual benefits are for those that do not have the benefit of living in this kind of bubble. So yeah, these are the main takeouts from my point of view. There were, of course, very significant examples given in terms of use cases or in terms of particular offerings from the different applications that the panelists were using. But from my point of view, these are the main takeouts.
What is the role of regulation in all that? If there is a role,
as we discussed,
positive or negative?
I don't think DeFi is something to be regulated, and as it is not regulated for now in MiCA, I think it should stay outside. There are other aspects of finance that can be regulated. I think that there are also some aspects that regulation can play a crucial role in terms of combining traditional with decentralized and open finance. And this is where it should stay. Otherwise, I think these are good to stay as they are.
Oliver.
All of my panelists were very nice. And I think we didn't have a topic as such. We had different business models, different players, but some of them I know for a long time, right? And they were like, well, we are going to change anything, and crowdfunding 10 years ago, democratize the world and whatever. And I think the reality is that you have to run a business, you have to pay employees, that you need to grow into market, and that you need to do this within the rules and within partnerships. And even when you have regulation, and we have achieved a harmonized law for crowdfunding, it doesn't help you because you have to still cooperate with other license holders that are not fully harmonized, that suddenly your payment service provider can only help you in 2 countries, but not in the other countries. So I think the realization is that we need to push for better regulation, for better understanding. We have a digital literacy to address, we have financial literacy to address, but for the players in the market that try to take part away from the banking industry, not compete with them, just add to their services. This is a long road in many cases. And if you look at the alternative finance industry in general, there's very few successful, long-term players in the market that survive and don't get bored and so on. So this long-term change, I think we still need to see. And in our market, especially because it's very, very small, it has always been very small, which is why we got a regulation that others didn't get in the same time, because nobody cared about it. So here I think it's about really facing the realities of running a business in the real economy, helping real people with all their shortcomings, and understanding that you as a business are not able to address all of these issues.
Yeah.
And so that for them, for me, the outcome is to really now that they have a rule set, that they can operate under, it's probably even harder than before. Yeah. And the fight isn't anymore on one thing, it's now on 10 things. And so that is I think really for me this iterative process that will take a long time, and that all these new innovations will not play as easily out, and all the big competition is there as well, waiting to jump on it.
Yeah. I have put down some words I have taken out of your presentations and the sessions, and I will ask them. It's one of you. Zero tolerance policy. Zero tolerance policy.
Zero tolerance policy. I can't recall anyone.
Comment on that.
And,
because it has to do with IDA, yeah.
In the context of identification.
Identification and access monitoring.
I'm not quite sure how that's going to be technologically possible, because you will always find ways around rules and technology. Well, you do that by introducing regulation, but
not believing anyone that he says that he's anyone. That's it.
Yeah, but as I'm saying, when you have a new technology, there is always the smart guys and girls trying to make ways around that, and this will never be. We will never be able to erase it completely. But as we've seen from what Mark told us, you can use AI, and I know companies that you can use AI, for example, to prevent AI attacks. So we're gonna probably see those high-level attacks going on. But the zero tolerance, I don't think it's ever achievable, even with regulation.
Okay, it's not easy. Yeah, skills problem.
Skills problem.
Yeah.
I can say now not a popular thing for the banks, but
we don't have skilled people. First of all,
we discussed. One of the topics that we discussed is that we have the data, we have the digital tools on the market, but we don't have the product, and we have the need from the SME customers. And what stops us?
Yes.
What stops actually? That's what Karen mentioned, and we discussed it. This is the mindset, and I would say here, this is the skills of the SME banking leaders, SME bankers, SME product managers. They should be changed, because now I think after COVID, the needs of SME changed a little bit. First, second, SME are very much agile, because for them this is, they should take very fast decisions to survive. And banks at the moment are not into this, so they stay slow. They do not understand to the very end the needs, the real needs of SMEs, and this is the main problem. I think that really bankers and financial experts that are working in their micro and SME financial areas to truly upskill their skills, if you can say it like this, to really make it them feel the needs of SMEs more. Just I don't know, a simple kind of examples. I am an SME customer in Poland. We do some projects for the SME bankers in Poland.
Yes.
I did the project, I issued the invoice, and they say we pay you in 2 months because we have such a procedures.
Yeah.
And I said, guys, you being an SME bankers doing the SME project, you don't understand my needs as SME. I won't survive for 2 months if you pay me in 2 months.
They don't have the money.
I should do now everything I should find in the finance to do all the stuff needed, and you pay me with 2 months delay.
Yeah.
So then you should first finance me an SME, which is not always a case. And this is about the skills of SMEs. And the next, this was also mentioned a little bit about that we should educate the SMEs as well. This is true, but I would like to mention that usually when the bankers or financial experts say we should educate SMEs what factoring is, we should educate SMEs what the responsible finance is. But SMEs that don't need to know what the word factoring means. Maybe this word is really difficult for them. We can call it as bankers or as financial experts as we want. But for them, the language that banks are communicating to the SMEs should be really simple. Simple. Do you want to finance this invoice right now, or do you want to get paid right now? This is it, not to use, because when you even watch the structure of the website of the banks, they are in their banking wordings and not for SMEs. Like you enter and you say, loans, working capital loans, investment loans, supply chain finance, factoring, apply for factoring. What does it mean for the SME? They don't know these words.
Yeah.
This is scary for them. They will never apply because this is not their reality.
That's the next question, because they don't have enough stock. I mean, not even for 2 months, as you said. Yeah. And then they don't have many people to work and use these new tools.
Exactly.
So they need skilling, reskilling, upskilling, whatever, something like that.
Yeah, and the more simple the offer will be to the SMEs, the better.
Yeah.
From the financial side.
Yeah, SME friendly, something.
Yeah, kind of.
Tonia.
I'm scared.
No, come on, don't be. Something, a subject that you know well. Blockchain status right now.
Well.
It's a big thing.
Well, this is a big discussion.
Okay, in a few words.
Just in a few words. The European ecosystem is progressing. There's a lot going on across member states. There is a generic and horizontal European policy and strategy in terms of what needs to be supported for blockchain. There's a lot of work being done by EFSI. There's a lot of work currently being done by a new initiative launched earlier in February by the European Commission, the EU regulatory sandbox, that is funding work by not only startups, but any company that has ideas that want to work together with regulators. So I think that in general, the environment is very good for blockchain in Europe right now, as it is also in the US and in several other countries. We see that, especially in the financial sector, there are so many things that can be done, but blockchain is something to be seen besides what people understand as, crypto finance, and not only DeFi, although the financial sector is one of the most important.
Are they afraid, the
sectors.
people, are they afraid?
I think some people are afraid because they lack knowledge and they lack understanding.
And they read a lot about dangerous things. Yeah?
Yes, but the thing is that blockchain is not just about cryptos. And when
somebody
you discuss
has to
in
tell
general
them
about blockchain, people will come and say, tell me more about Ethereum, tell me more about Bitcoin. But
of course.
blockchain is applicable to so many sectors, as we discussed earlier. You can see it from logistics to energy to healthcare, to any kind of sector.
To certificates.
To certificates, to voting, to, I mean, there are so many different applications that can actually make a difference and impact day-to-day life in a very positive way. There are aspects that need to be considered, like energy consumption, of course, and this is something that we as EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum are monitoring, and we are reporting on it, and we are discussing with several organizations across the world to see how we can improve this. But I think that what is currently missing is basic knowledge and basic education on what blockchain is, what its applications are, how people can actually benefit from it at several levels, from the micro to the large scale level. And I think that this is a direction that we need to work towards. And also, the fact that blockchain can converge with so many other key enabling technologies like AI, OT, big data analytics, and so many other new technologies. This is something that also is not very well known and is not very well promoted. And again, this is something that we are working to put forward. Yeah,
people have to be educated. I mean,
yeah.
And see the difference between all these various applications.
Yes, and also understand the reasoning behind the technology and why it is a different technology and what it can bring in.
Yeah. Oliver.
I thought you were wrapping this up and we were sitting there.
Change of mindset, of culture.
Again?
Change of mindset or culture or whatever.
Change of mindset and culture. No. That was mentioned in our discussion.
Yes, sure. We have to do that, they said. The people in your...
I was not listening. Apparently. There I can really only guess. But yeah, so I mean, look, I mean, for every fintech in the market,
all that.
You need to be vigilant of what's going on. You know, we heard this from one of our panelists. They use blockchain since many years in the background, and you know, as a tool, not in the public. But you need to be adaptive, and I think for the overall financial industry, the change of mind and as a society has to be really what I think resonates also when what you say is, of course, people first and profit second, and which we see out of microfinance coming out of impact investing, which is sustainability. And I think only if we do this, then we actually can solve the issues. And if we think people first, then we think financial literacy first. And that starts in school and not with a bank or any financial service provider. And digital, education, show me the primary school that teaches coding in year 2. Doesn't exist. But that should be on the curriculum. But that brings us back to the beginning and to all the high-flying ideas that we hear, we talk about, we want. We don't have it because we have national governments and we have national rule settings, and even if we have EU lawmaking and great promoters of ideas there will be somebody who gold plates locally something and it doesn't work. And even when you have a harmonized law, there's enough people that find a way to say, look here, if I don't do this, then it doesn't work. And so this is what's happening. So, and I think that is where the change of mindset really has to come for Europeans to start love Europe and think a little bit less about their national identity and their own benefits.
It's finished. It's last question, perhaps? It's okay.
No, it's okay. I think
we're okay.
We're okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.